All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. We are with Lumen Learning. Going to talk about our introduction into OER with Lumen, looking at what course materials they have to offer, ready to go, and what other things aside from the text themselves they offer for our students, all at a no cost or low cost tier. I'll go ahead and have everyone from Lumen introduce themselves and what they do, starting with Natalie.
Hi, good afternoon. Morning. I'm East Coast, so sorry about that. I am Natalie Checker, and I'm a Senior Director of Teaching and Learning for both our Waymaker and courseware, and I am located over in Maryland.
Amy?
I'll go. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Amy Horner, and I am the Director of Learning Solutions for schools in Tennessee, primarily with Waymaker, and I'm currently located in Massachusetts.
Heidi?
I'm Heidi Allwood. I'm VP of Sales for Lumen for the East Coast.
Patrice?
Hello, everyone. My name is Catrice Taylor. I'm based in Orlando, Florida, and I'm the Regional Sales Director for our own platform for the Southeast.
Okay. Matt?
Matt Weaver. I'm the Regional Sales Director for Waymaker for our Mid-Atlantic territory.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle's just joining us here as we are getting introduced to Lumen. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and take it away. This is mostly y'all's show as far as that goes to introduce us. As we go through, I'll try to ask some questions representative of other faculty that is not here, mostly related to STEM and math. But please take it away.
Okay, thank you so much. Would you make it so that I can share my screen?
Oh, that would be a good thing to do.
I can be creative, but it generally goes better if I can. Okay, yep, I am good. Okay, so thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to share a bit about Lumen and our courses and our courseware with all of you today. Those of you that are joining with us live, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself in the chat, maybe your name, your course, and also anything that you are interested in specifically learning today, so we can make sure we address that. And we will allow, we have allotted time for questions at the end, but please feel free to put any of those questions in the chat throughout as we're going through. We want to make sure that those get addressed for you. So don't hold on to them until the end. You can put them in there and we'll address as we go through, and then also have some time to come off mute and have some live question and answer as well. So we have already done our introductions. I'm just going to give a quick background on Lumen, and then we're going to hear from Matt with our Waymaker demo, just a short demo, just because we're working through both of our coursewares today. We'll hear from Catrice, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end. So they're just going to give kind of general overview, but if you do have more specific questions, they'll put out their contact information so you can set up a one-on-one time for a conversation with them. So in starting to talk about Lumen, we always like to start with our mission, which is to enable unprecedented learning for all students. And a little bit of our background, Lumen's been growing rapidly since our start in 2012. And in 2021, we partnered with over 500 colleges and universities around the United States and supported over 350,000 students using our courseware. In 2020, we introduced our professional development platform called Lumen Circles. And in 2021, we had 700 participants that completed a circle. And this is an evidence-based professional development program. As well, because our content is openly licensed and a free and open version of every course that we have is available on our website, our course materials were accessed by 158 million independent learners just in 2021. So this is different than the students, or maybe some overlap, but different than the students that are using our courseware. Lumen does enhance open educational resources. We start with the foundation of open content, and then we add in opportunities for interactivity, practice, feedback, assessment, and we put this into our courseware, which we'll show a bit more about later on today. And as well, I'll talk a little bit about some content enhancements and how we provide that. But the whole idea is to provide a high quality, affordable resource for students. So in thinking back to our mission, which is to enable unprecedented learning for all students, we do this by asking ourselves two main questions, which are what supports student success and what supports faculty success. In supporting student success, we do this with our Lumen Waymaker and Lumen Own platforms, which you'll get a preview of today. And then in supporting faculty success, we do this with our professional development platform, which is Lumen Circles. We're not going to focus too much on that today, but more information on that to come later. And we're happy to answer any questions related to that as well later on. So a small example of how I mentioned that we take existing OER content and then we lumenize it. So basically we enhance it so that students can learn by doing and get feedback. And so a small example of that, on the left-hand side, this is an OpenStax economics course. And so here it's a static step-by-step walking students through learning about equilibrium. And then you can see on the right-hand side, we've turned this into an interactive case study. And so we've provided an opportunity for students to practice and to get some feedback before they move on and continue reading. So we're checking that understanding before they're continuing to learn more content. So that's just a small example of what we do. Another example related to that is our continuous improvement work that we do. So once we put out our courses, we are measuring the effectiveness of the learning outcomes. So on this graph here, every data point is a learning outcome in a course. Where we really focus is this bottom right quadrant where it shows weak learning and high engagement. So that shows us that the students are trying to learn, but they're having a tough time. So what we do there is we want to evaluate the content and the assessments for those learning outcomes, check the alignment, check maybe is there an opportunity to put in some interactivity? Is there an opportunity to rephrase a question, add in more assessment? So we make those updates and enhancements with our dedicated continuous improvement team. We also take feedback from faculty and students, but we put those into place and then we continue to measure the effectiveness. So it's not just we put in the updates and then we're done. That process happens over time. Another example of what we do in developing our courses. So for example, our most recent course is our US History 2 course. And the way that our US History 1 course and US History 2 courses were created was we took a look at OpenStax for US history and American Yawp, which are both well-known history courses in the open education community. We took the best of those courses, but then we put it into a succinct text and flow and put in those things that I said that we do to like lumenize, those interactivities, the assessments, opportunities for students to practice. So that's kind of the foundation of what we do, how we use open educational resources for our faculty and students. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Matt at this point to talk a bit about our Waymaker personalized learning courseware.
Right. Thank you so much. Now, actually, would you mind just sharing that this slide again real quick?
Sure.
Sorry.
That's okay. Oops, hold on. I might have closed out of it. Hold on.
Oh.
Let me get it pulled back up.
All right. You know what? Actually, if
Got it. You're good.
yeah. All right.
Yep. Yep. Let me just pull back up that slide. I think it might have just gone actually to a different screen. There's like a weird thing that happens with Zoom sometimes when you're in full screen, and then when you stop sharing, it just puts stuff on random screens. So sorry, just give me a second to let that load and then we'll pull it up for you.
You know what, Robert, if you're able to give me access to share my screen, then I can just do it. I'm sorry to ruin the flow here.
Oh, no, you should have access though. I've made Matt, Catrice, and everyone co-hosts.
Okay, I've got it. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so sorry to ruin the flow there, but Waymaker is our coursework platform that we offer to build upon everything that Natalie just touched upon. We take OER and we curate it and make it super interactive. So this sort of replaces the need for, you know, the traditional expensive textbook. OER is great because it's out there and it's free and, you know, it's all the information, but there's no real pedagogy attached to it, right? It's just sort of information presented at face value. So what we've done is, like Natalie said, we luminize it. We add in assessments, we add videos, simulations, you know, anything that's relevant to that particular course. And we span an entire, you know, kind of gauntlet of courses. We just really take OER, we beef it up, we make it as interactive as possible, and we make it as useful for both students and instructors as possible. And the heart of Waymaker is our personalized study plan. And what this does is, this is sort of what we would call the book content, and it encourages, you know, frequent feedback from students, and, you know, has scaffolded assignments that are all the way through it. So your students aren't just reading a big block of text, they're interacting with it the whole way through, and then they're quizzed on it at the end. And this is all done, you know, directly through your LMS. I believe you all are using Brightspace, so you're not, you know, getting onto Lumen.com, you're not getting onto Waymaker.com, you're right in Brightspace. It's all there in one neat, tidy little package. Another highlight of Waymaker that I always like to show, and I'm actually going to show here in a moment, is our automated messaging tools. This is what we call our student engagement center, and what we have realized through talking with tons of students, tons of instructors, is one piece that's often missing in the classroom setting is a good way to facilitate conversations between instructors and students. So we figured out a way to sort of streamline that. And I'm actually, you know, that's probably my favorite part of Waymaker to show. So I'm really excited to show that to you today. We also offer a way for you to see outcome analytics. So you're able to go in, and if, you know, say, Robert, you're in my course, I can go in, I can take a look at everything you've been doing in the course, see how you're doing, see what you might be struggling with, see where you might be excelling. And then that way, as the instructor, that lets me know how to best connect with you, and I can scale that up to the entire class. I can do that for everybody. And we're able to offer our Waymaker platform at just $25 per student per term. So it, whenever you compare that to, you know, the kind of traditional textbook industry, it's, you know, extremely affordable, extremely low cost. So that was the brief overview. And I think, you know, maybe the best way to go from here is for me to just jump into Waymaker and show everybody, you know, what we can do. And I guess the last thing I wanted to point out is, for anybody either on this call or watching the recording, my email address, matt@lumenlearning, is right here. If you have any questions, you'd like to, you know, talk a little bit more in depth, you can always reach out to me anytime. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in. So what we're looking at right now is, if you have been in D2L Brightspace before, this is going to look really familiar for you. Like I said, we're not sending you to Lumen.com, we're not sending you to Waymaker.com. Everything that we offer is integrated directly into your LMS, so there's no jumping around. I guess to start from the top down, you know, we're actually in our English Composition 1 co-requisite course right now. Like I said, we offer a ton of different courses, but I just so happen to pick English, and it looks like we have a couple English folks on here anyway, so good guess. So starting from the top down, we have, you know, this is sort of our table of contents. This I'm not going to spend too much time on, but we really do, you know, we take this, you know, kind of traditional OER, we organize it for you and really break it down at a really granular level, putting it all, you know, in perspective for you. So you as an instructor don't have to do that. We do it for you. In terms of what we offer to faculty, these are some of our instructor materials that we offer. The one at the top, this is what I had mentioned before, our Student Engagement Center. I'm going to come back to that at the end, just because I think it deserves a little more time and I like showing it, but a couple other things that I like to always point out. This first one is our pacing guides. So we know that as an instructor, you go into, you know, the beginning of the semester with, you know, the best laid plans, and you know exactly how you want to lay out your course. But I think everybody here knows that 5-6 weeks into the course, that might not still be the case. Things happen, stuff's going to come up. So what we've done is we have identified, all right, so here are some of the larger modules that you could drag these out for a couple of weeks if you wanted to. Or let's say you're in a little bit of a time crunch, you need to combine some modules. These are some of the ones where you can say, all right, we'll lump these in together with somewhere else, and this is going to be a way for me to save time. So we just kind of make that available for you right off the bat, so that way you don't have to go through and figure out, okay, where am I best combining, where am I best dragging things out. We make that apparent for you off the bat. Another thing I always like to show are PowerPoints. We make PowerPoints for every single module throughout the course. And this is, again, everything I'm going to show today is true for every course we offer. This is just another one of those things where we know as an instructor, your time is so important. And personally, I don't think that you should be up at 3 a.m. writing PowerPoints when we can, make those for you and make them, as helpful as possible. These are downloadable. So you can download this. You can, if you have maybe pet topics you like to talk about, you can always add in as much as you want to these PowerPoints. They are yours to update, but you don't need to either. That's why a lot of might sound like a broken record by the end of this, because I'm going to say all of our resources are as customizable as much or as little as you need. They're ready to go day one for you. Let's see, going back to some more faculty resources. We keep all of our question banks, all of our writing workshop solutions that would be, specifically for the English co-rec course, and all of our assignments right here in one place for you as an instructor. But those are also available at point of use as we go down through the modules. So as far as your students are concerned, they're going to see a quiz when it's time to take the quiz. They're going to see an assignment, in the module that corresponds to that assignment. But as an instructor, we like to put those all together for you. And the one other thing I'd like to show is our offline content access. Basically, with just the way things are these days, everything's online. You never know if you might lose internet access. We make the book downloadable for you. Moving on, another module I like to show really quickly. This is our Succeeding with Waymaker section. So this is something that you can assign to your students right at the beginning of the course, and this teaches them how to use Waymaker. So if a platform like this is new to an instructor, we know it's going to be new to a student as well. So we think that this is a great way for your students to go in. They can do this module, they can get acquainted with Waymaker, and that way, any of those frequently asked questions that often come up, the burden is not going to be on the instructor to teach the students how to use Waymaker. We'll do that for you through this module. Any questions at all before I go ahead and jump in? Because I want to get into sort of the heart of Waymaker, which is our study plan. I'll take silence as a no. We're going to go ahead and jump into the study plan now. So each of our study plans are going to have 3 sections. And again, this is across every module throughout the course. The 3 sections are Get Started, Dive In, and Finish Strong. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the Get Started. It always starts with a pretest. So right here, this is a quiz for your students to take, and this is before they've ever interacted with any of the book materials that correspond to this particular module. So we're going to see, my face is covering the next button. We're going to see how lucky I am today, and I'm going to answer some of these pretest questions because a couple cool things happen whenever I answer these. So I'm just making some wild guesses. One other thing I want to show really quickly on any of our quiz questions, be it in a pretest or on an actual quiz, there's always going to be this little button right here, and this is our accessibility widget. So you click this, and if you have any students that have any particular needs in terms of, maybe changing up a color scheme or a font size, or if they need instructions on how to zoom in, zoom out, we offer that all right at point of use for you in every single quiz question. There's no, funky settings you have to go in. It's right there for them. All right, let's see how I did. Ooh, okay, 0 out of 4. I don't think I'm buying a lottery ticket today. That's okay. But a couple cool things happen whenever I do that. So the first thing I'm going to see is that my overall score on this pretest was a 0. Generally, our modules are going to have more than one learning objective and learning topic in it. So if there were 4 of them, it would break down and it would say how many questions I got right or wrong in each one of those learning objectives. And so that gives your students a pretty good idea of like, okay, in this particular topic, I think I know what I'm talking about because I was able to answer these questions correctly before I even interacted with the book. But in others, and clearly in reading and context, I need work. And I know that off the bat before I even touch the book. So the other thing that they're going to see after they complete the pretest is they're going to see their answers for each of the questions. Not only are they going to see whether they got it right or if they got it wrong, they get targeted feedback as well. So they're going to see, all right, why did I get this right? Why did I get this wrong? It gives them a better idea of, just kind of where they're at, what mistakes they would have made. And that way, whenever they go and read into the actual book, they can, they can better be prepared for what they're going to see. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. I realized I was in a writing workshop there, and that's why it had so few learning objectives. So I'm actually going to switch over to a different one. But like I said, so you take the pretest and then you move into our dive in section. And this is where the actual book content lives. So if I click into here, these are each of our formative assessments. If I click these links, this is the actual book. So if I'm a student, I'm going in, I'm reading the book materials. And as you see, as we go down through, this isn't just big walls of text with nothing else. Like I mentioned, there are videos, there are assessments all the way through, just to make sure that we're keeping our students engaged and interacting with the materials as they go through it. There was actually a study that I always like to talk about, done by Carnegie Mellon University, where they were able to show that students learn and retain information 6 times better by doing than just reading. So we like to really take that to heart here and give students as many opportunities to interact with their materials as possible. And then as they read down through the book, they're reading it, they're interacting, they're watching videos, they're doing questions. Then they get to the self-check at the end here. And these questions are actually going to be the same questions that they already saw in the pretest. So I'm a student, I take my pretest, I know I didn't do so hot on a couple of these sections. I read the materials, and now I'm going to see the exact same questions again. And this is where that scaffolding comes in, where we're just reinforcing this material kind of over and over and making sure that we're ensuring that students are learning in the best way possible. So going back to study plan. If I'm actually going to switch this over to the student view. So if I'm a student, I'm going to see a couple headings right here as I work my way through. I'm going to see mastery and self-check. So mastery shows that, all of these need work. But if I complete the self-check and I'm getting the self-check questions correct, this is going to say completed right here. And then mastery is going to turn into on track once I know that I'm interacting with all of these materials and I'm succeeding in my self-check questions. So this entire dive-in section, I generally like to suggest that instructors make this a completion grade. So it's basically, if you're a student, are you doing this? And I usually say 5 to 10% of the final grade. That's what we found instructors have had really good success with. Setting this at about 10% of the final grade, and that ensures students are going in here and doing it. And as they make their way through, they're interacting with the materials, then they're ready for the quiz. And I'll show you that in 1 second. But one other thing I wanted to show before I get out of this specific section is, let's say for whatever reason, you're the instructor and you're looking through here and you're thinking, for the sake of time or for whatever reason, I don't know about finding evidence. I don't think that's, necessarily something that we need to talk about. All I do is I click hide. Your students are never going to see this, and any corresponding quiz questions that relate to finding evidence, those are off the quiz. You don't have to go through and manually take those out. It's automatically updated. But let's say I just changed my mind. I click show, it's all back. That's all you have to do. So now I just want to take a moment and show you the quiz that corresponds. And and just show you, sort of it. And I scrolled past them quickly there, but there are assignments as well that correspond with each of these modules, and those will all have pre-made rubrics attached to them as well. So you as an instructor don't have to spend the time building your rubrics out. We did that for you. So at the end of each module, it's time for the quiz. So if you're an instructor and you go in here, you're going to see all of your students listed here. You can, on this screen, you can edit the number of attempts that they have at the quiz. We do set 2 as the minimum. And this is just, through talking with content experts and just, kind of following the pedagogy here, we find that 2 is the minimum that we'd like to offer just to maximize student retention and student success. But I could sit here and make this, 20 if I wanted to. The next thing you're going to see is your quiz pool. So these are all of the questions that are going to correspond to this specific module in the course. And you have some things you can do here as well. For some reason, I don't like this question. It's gone. If I change my mind, it's back. I can edit this question if I want to, or if, I've been teaching this particular topic for years, and there are questions that I know that I like and I like to use every year, I can add that question as well, and I can build it and it'll go in here and it'll be seamless with the rest of the questions. So the one thing you're going to notice is this particular quiz pool has 38 questions. If we go into the quiz, your students are only going to see 12 of them. They're not going to get that whole quiz pool. This is, in some ways, this is a way to prevent cheating. This is also, just a way to say, all right, we're going to make it manageable, and we're going to assign a certain number of questions per learning objective in that particular module. So that's the quiz. Like I said, I keep coming back to the fact that this is as customizable as much or as little as you need it to be. This quiz is ready to go day one for you, but you can always add it, do whatever you like with it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I know I had promised I was going to circle back around to our Student Engagement Center. So I'm going to go ahead, jump right in. So like I mentioned before, the Student Engagement Center was built based on a lot of conversations between students and instructors and trying to facilitate a better way to streamline the process of reaching out to students who either may need help or are really succeeding and need some positive reinforcement. So if we go into here, we set up basically 2 thresholds for our Student Engagement Center. The first one is when your students are using less than 25% of the formative assessments. Those are those tiles in the dive-in section, and they're taking the quiz and they're not doing so well on the quiz. And what we did was we pre-built some emails that, if I'm the instructor and you're the student, you're going to get an email that looks like I sat here and typed out an entire email for you, and it's going to look like it came from me. And it's basically just going to say, hey, I saw you took the quiz, and it wasn't quite where we want to be. Here are a couple tips that you can use. Then there's another threshold where it's really on the flip side, where we want to offer positive reinforcement as well and say, listen, you're doing everything you need to do. You're doing a great job. Nice work. It's, super simple, but think back to when you were in school. How many times did a professor ever go out of their way to say, that was a really good job, you're killing it? And for me, I don't think I can think of one. So whenever I say we streamline this, it really is effortless on the instructor's part. If this is toggled off, all you have to do is click on. And if the student meets either one of these thresholds, which is less than 25% of formative assessments completed before their quiz attempt and not succeeding on the quiz, or when your students are doing their work and succeeding on the quiz, these go out automatically. You don't have to do a thing as an instructor. And that's, I know I'm kind of running over my time here. I want to make sure that I'm giving Catrice all the time she needs to talk about OHM. So that is Waymaker in a nutshell. Again, for anybody here or for anybody that is watching the recording, matt@lumenlearning.com, Matt Weaver. I'm happy to sit down, talk with anybody about anything related to Waymaker. And I want to go ahead and turn it over to Catrice so she can talk about our own platform.
Thank you, Matt. That was awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm going to talk about OHM, as Matt said. I'm going to kind of share a little bit about what Natalie said. So just give me just a second to share. All righty. Oops. I said share and click share at the same time. Okay, can you guys see that? Awesome. All right. So again, my name is Catrice. My email is here at the top as well. OEM is our online homework management system for our quantitative courses, as you can see here. So our math courses, and I'm so excited to talk about our OEM platform today with you and give you a brief overview of what it is and what you can do with it and how it can help you and your students. So I'm going to kind of quickly go over these little bullet points and then answer a couple of frequently asked questions since we don't have math faculty on. And I know that Professor Ladd, you mentioned that they sometimes have some more questions, and I want to make sure that I answer those in advance to kind of take some of that answering off of you. So we have a wonderful platform that is based, a lot of our courses are based heavily on OpenStax. So I want to just talk about our assessments. We have quite a few assessments that have a very large question library. So we have over 25,000 algorithmically generated questions for you to choose from to create your courses and, your assessments, your quizzes, and things like that, which is very important to math faculty. Our courses are all customizable, and that's a really great feature, and a lot of math faculty really enjoy that feature. So we have templated courses that we maintain and keep up and make sure that they're up to snuff and they're great. And then there are also courses that instructors will build on their own from different institutions that they will put into the OEM platform that you can copy into your account, and you can use those courses since they're already made by another instructor somewhere. We do have a very simple course setup. It takes a few minutes. It's just a click of a button, and we do have an implementation specialist that would work with you and your team to get your course all set up. We have a Desmos interactive graphing system that our instructors love very much because it eliminates the need for an expensive calculator. So it takes another added cost out of the students, away from the students, so that they can, have that stress eliminated and they can focus on their courses. And then our price is $25 per student per term. So another frequently asked question that we get is, does it integrate into the LMS? And the answer is yes. So as Matt showed you, our OEM platform also integrates into Brightspace, and I'll show you that at the end. It's going to look exactly like OEM does. It's just going to be in Brightspace. So it's great. Similar to what Matt said, they don't have to go into another tab or another browser, or they don't have to have another login. Everything is right there for them within the LMS. So I'm actually going to hop into the platform right now. Just give me just a second. All right. So I am now in our OEM platform. As you can see up at the top left, you see Lumen OEM. Okay. And over on the left, these are all kinds of courses that I have in my account, but depending on what you're teaching, you can have as many as a couple or several, depending on how many sections you have and what have you. So over here on the left, that's where you're going to be able to navigate and get to the course that you are teaching that day. If you see at the top right, I'm going to hop back over and just talk about the user settings up there really quick. That's where you can make adjustments to your account, your classes here. And then, of course, there's a help button here, which is really great because this goes directly to our support team. So it can answer all of your questions with just a click of a button. I'm going to hop into our college algebra course for you guys so that you can see what that looks like. It's a very popular course. And I want to show you some details and some features that OEM has specifically related to college algebra. Okay, so I clicked on college algebra, and I just want to give a quick overview of what this screen looks like, what you're looking at. Over on the left in the gray, that's what we like to call our dashboard. And that's where you're going to see all of your options to basically facilitate and move around in your course. There are messages. Of course, you've got your roster and your grade book, your calendar. Questions, that's where you can find all of those questions that I mentioned. And you can also manage questions and edit questions as you see fit. There are course items, and that's where you will move your course after you create your course and you make it what you want. that's where you're going to put it into D2L. It's got a great handshake. It's just a couple of clicks. And then your course that you've made in OHM and perfected in OHM, you put over in Brightspace, and that can always be adjusted and tweaked as you go through the semester. There's also an option for mass changes. Of course, if you're teaching multiple sections of different courses, it's very tedious to have to go in course by course and module by module and adjust assessments and things like that. So you're able to do that by using our mass change option, which is great and very convenient. And then of course, at the bottom, there are course settings where you can adjust the title and things like that. I'm going to hop over to the side now over here to where it says view. So right now we're in the instructor view, and that's why you have the very large gray dashboard with all the different options. I'm quickly going to click on the student view so that you can see what it looks like if you were a student. So you can see that the dashboard, it gets a little bit smaller. So there are only a few options for the students there. They've got their grade book, and then they can message you directly, similar to Waymaker, and they can message you as it relates to whatever question they're on, which is a great feature. A lot of instructors really, really enjoy that. And then of course the calendar. The next button I'm going to click on is the quick rearrange button. And this is a great feature that instructors use quite a bit because it allows instructors to move their content at a higher level instead of having to go in module by module. So for example, if you do not need to teach, algebraic operations on functions, you can, modify this. You can take it out, you can delete it, and do whatever you want to do with that particular module at a higher level instead of having to go in detailed in the course. You can just do it here. You can also move things around. So for example, you can move module 6 down, move it back up, and so on and so forth, using the quick rearrange button. I'm going to head back over to the home page. So if you notice, I clicked back to the home page. That took me back to where all of my courses are. So now I'm going to click back into college algebra. So I'm still at the quick rearrange button. Now I'm going to go back to the instructor view. So it's very easy to navigate for you, and it's not confusing at all. So here is our homepage for the college algebra. And as you can see, we have lots of different modules here. I'm going to be showing module 5 because it shows that Desmos interactive calculator that I was talking about. So I did have that dropped down, but I just want to show you how easy it is and how similar it is to what you would normally see in a traditional textbook, but a little bit better. So at the top here, you've got faculty resources, which are hidden, and then student resources. And that gives students just some resources so that they can access calculators and the textbook. Speaking of the textbook, I'm going to click in module 1. Anywhere you see a little globe, a little blue globe, that's going to link out to our textbook. So it's going to open up in another tab. And as you can see, this is our textbook. It's another very easy to navigate option and feature that we have. Students have their learning outcomes at the top. And as you move along, there are try it options for students. As Matt said, students do learn better by learning by doing. And so we have lots of options for them to try right here in the text. So this is just a great, great feature. Hey, I got that right. And students really love this, and so do instructors. I'm going to hop back into OHM. And I want to talk about the pretest. So I'm going to click on the pretest. And this just gives students an overview of what they're going to be doing. There are 20 points possible, as you can see, teacher view. And then once they start their quiz, they've got a beautiful interface here that gives them a guide to move about their quiz. And see their questions. If they want to hop to question 4, they can do it at their own pace. And then it saves their progress as they go through the quiz. I'm going to hop back to the homepage and go into module 5, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm going to show you the Desmos interactive calculator. So I'm going to click on domain and range here. Gives an introduction. And this is one of the features that we really like to highlight because, as I mentioned, it takes away the need for students to purchase an additional calculator. So it takes away that added cost, and it's right here inside the platform. So they don't have to go to another tab or another website to access the Desmos calculator. It's here for them, and it's incredibly, interactive, and they can move around and do whatever they need to do right here in the platform. So I'm just clicking some of these different options over on the left. Just showing you how interactive it is. Very user-friendly. All right, I'm going to click back into our college algebra course where all of our modules are. Quickly want to talk about adding items. So for example, in module 5, if I wanted to take out the practice test for characteristics of functions in their graphs, or move around different practice tests or quizzes, or add items, I can do all of that here. I can add my assessment from here. I can add blocks, I can add calendars, and I can even add an additional Desmos interactive here if I want to. If I wanted to take this out, take that practice test out, as I mentioned, I can do that from here. I can move it or I can delete it. Another feature that I want to talk about that sometimes instructors have questions on is, let's say they're teaching college algebra, but they're also teaching another introductory or intermediate course. You can take modules from intermediate and put them into your college algebra course and vice versa. So depending on what your syllabus says, or what your course requirements are, or what your objectives are, you can take content from one course and you can copy it over into another course to kind of make a hodgepodge of what works for you and your students and what objectives they need to meet. That's also a very common question. The other thing I want to show you is the gradebook. So your gradebook is going to be very streamlined, very easy to navigate. All of your assignments are here. You can also isolate assignments and see exactly how students are doing, how they're performing, and details on how they're performing in their courses. And then I just want to show you before we wrap up what this looks like inside of Brightspace. So I always like to show the module here. Let's say we go to the pretest. If I go into Brightspace, here's that same module right in Brightspace. So open that up. And it's going to be the same thing that you saw in OHM. So that's really just a great feature. Like I mentioned, students and instructors like that because they don't have to go into another website or another link. And there are your questions. So I know we are running short on time and I want to have time for any additional questions. Again, let's hop back over here to where we were. Okay. Again, I want to just make sure that I share my email one more time, catrice@lumenlearning.com. There are tons of more details and I could get really into the platform, but that's just the overview of OHM. And please feel free to reach out to me and I can show you more details about the course. And I look forward to meeting all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Catrice. I'll go ahead and just wrap up with our slides and then we'll pop over if there are any questions. And I think I figured out what happened before it. When you're in slideshow mode and then you stop presenting before ending slideshow mode, it throws your PowerPoint onto a different screen. So just a heads up for anyone presenting. Okay, so the last thing that we like to kind of share, because this definitely sets us apart from other open educational resources, especially like the no cost ones. So part of the reason why we even charge for our courseware is, of course, the development that goes into it. But a lot of it is because of the customer support that you get. So the training support, technical support, customization of courses. We have self-service, dashboards that you can use. You have dedicated team members that can do one-on-one support for large scale adoptions. We also have group trainings as an option. We have dedicated technical support. You can see our satisfaction rating here for our technical support team. So people like us, which is good. And then also this is our uptime here for our platform. So they are very reliable and not very much downtime at all for your students. And a lot of like the technical support issues that we do end up getting are just students trying to figure out how to access materials. And a lot of times they end up being related to the learning management system anyway. So lots of support that you'll have if you end up wanting to partner with us. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing there and see what questions we have, if any, from those in attendance.
So I do have one question, and it's a pretty general one, and that is, do you mind just showing your catalog real quick and maybe highlighting some of the texts that are most adopted by faculty?
Sure, we can definitely do that. Let me get that pulled up. Okay. So our website is lumenlearning.com. And once you're on here, you can see there's our course catalog. You can see more information about our courseware, more information about professional development, request a demo right here. So if you lose Matt or Catrice's information, you can request it this way. If we go into the course catalog, you can see all of our courses in here. So we have them broken down by discipline. So if we wanted to take a look at our English one, that would pull up here. And you can see all of our courses in the English discipline. So you can see a breakdown of the individual courses. And then that'll also give you like the learning outcomes. You can take a look at some of the content that's available. And where applicable, there's like quotes and experiences from faculty and students talking about what they're using. So that's where you can access the catalog right from our website. And then I think, Robert, did you also ask me our most popular courses? Is that what you?
Yeah.
Me as well? Okay. And I'll let our team chime in if they feel any differently, but I would say definitely our psychology courses, our English courses are probably the areas where we see our highest enrollments, but also I would say in the business area, like our introduction to business, those are kind of the more of those like larger courses that you see larger enrollments in general at institutions is where we have a majority of our enrollments. But lots of great courses across the board. You can see like with the business disciplines, we have like smaller courses, like human resource management, but then we also have introduction to business. So, and for English, we have English Comp 1, English Comp 2, the co-requisite piece, we have public speaking, business communication, that can sometimes fall in different departments as well.
Great.
Yep. Any other questions? Just check the chat. Okay, Matt put the link to our site and to our courses in there as well. So we really, really appreciate everyone's time. And if you are joining us by watching the recording, happy to answer any questions that you might have. We really appreciate you, everything that you're doing for your institutions, for your students. Thank you so much. You are making a difference. Sometimes that's hard to see, in the day in and day out, but we appreciate you. And we really hope that we'll get to maybe partner with you on some of your courses.
Oh,